What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 5 of, sorry, the landscapers are outside. Welcome to part 5 of my ayahuasca journey. I appreciate all of you that made it through the 50-minute escapade yesterday. I've already gotten some really good feedback on it. I'm going to deep dive some more individual aspects of the anger and some super cool tools that I implement every day that I got out of the ayahuasca retreat. But a lot more to follow at the end of the video for how I'm going to be going forward after this, because this goes over the last night of the retreat. But a lot of cool stuff to come, and we'll get that at the end of the video. So part 4, or part 5 I should say, is the power of being selfish. This was my last night at the retreat, and it really ground in some pretty cool stuff. Pardon me. For those of you who are just watching this, I highly encourage you to go back and watch the first ones. They're 30 to 50 minutes each. If you're watching this short, then go back. There are some long ones, but they do build upon each other. After this, we'll have individual standalone videos that really tie to key points of stuff I got out of each night, different breakthroughs, things like that. A lot of stuff that I'm just currently working on. I do a lot of work on physical well-being, my own mental health and things of that nature, and just to really be my best. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. I'm trying to be just a voice in the ether to just try to get people to do a little bit more. There's too much bad going on in the world and too much hate and just fucking horribleness in a lot of places, but there is some greatness out there, and I think it's important to try to be some of that good voice. So let's recap a little bit. Yesterday was all about anger and ultimate accountability. It was a long one. There is a lot of anger things that I face, but the biggest breakthrough was ultimate accountability. Is how do I look at everything initially as my part in it, whether it's, at that point I use the term it's my fault, or there's a lot of things that aren't specifically your fault, but you get to choose how you react to them. I've said it almost every video. It's our decisions, not our conditions, that shape our environment. Shit's going to happen. I talked about perceived injustices versus real injustices. The old neighbor next to me, it's not really an injustice against me. He's annoying. It sucks that he's just an angry old man, but when we get back to Colorado Springs, I'm actually just gonna go talk to him and just Airbnb aside, just bring him a cup of coffee and see what's going on. I never did that, and I think it's gonna be enlightening. I'm looking forward to that. Then we have a trucking company and this fuckhead agent in Florida on the other side of this deal that we're trying to do. There are 1,000 reviews of this trucking company now that I go into the Better Business Bureau, etc., of them being malicious. I've had a bunch of feedback from a lot of my friends, people in my circle who have used trucking companies and had the bait and switch thing that they do, and so it's real. How do I look at that as my part? I could have done more research, etc., so I own that. But also, that's when we're putting in effort with the Attorney General and pursuing ramifications against them. The agent, I have text messages between him and myself, him and my agent, of him lying between us. It's just flat out dishonesty. So I'll be pursuing action against that when the transaction's done. But being able to work through those things in an analytical point of objectiveness has been amazing. A lot of the anger stuff is, which I'm going to do some separate videos, actually probably a lot of breakout videos, but a lot of it was just being able to laugh at myself. It's pretty cool. Laugh at the things that I get angry at. So, moving into the final night. As I mentioned in an earlier video, so we're told, which I believe now after going through it, is that ayahuasca works in an arc. The medicine knows. There is a consciousness to it that's fascinating. And so the last night, some people can push harder, I suppose, if they haven't gotten what they wanted, but it can be a dial back night. In this, I went with a a little bit more than I did the first night, but I didn't do a second dose. And I'm thankful because honestly, I tripped way harder than I fucking anticipated. And it was pretty funny. But the night before, the anger night, you know, and the ultimate accountability, I went back to my room and I tripped balls. Like, I don't remember a lot of my room. And I just remember pinging between like these trampolines that were like portals to different universes. And it was like super colorful, and I was just on a ride then, just laughing. I'd been out under the stars, and then, cause I thought I was done, I went out under the stars on the star deck, and it started to come in strong. I was laying up there with just a gentleman I really bonded with down there, and we were watching the stars. I was like, I gotta go, man. But ultimately, I was exhausted, and it's a good example of listening to your body. You know, I was legitimately exhausted, and I felt I had gotten so much out of the retreat already, and I was in such a good spot that I was just, I didn't want another fuck your plans, Lindsay, you know, going with real intentions. Like, I was just going in, just relaxed. Whatever was gonna happen was gonna happen. I was gonna take it easy. And it was a super cool night. Let's jump into it. Ultimately, what I got out of it is the power of being selfish. I'm going to screw up this quote, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to know it anyway because he made it up. But one of my mentors has a quote, and it's something along the lines of self-care, or man, it's self-something is a radical act of love. And the premise to it is people, you just have to love yourself. Like, and that kind of differs from the selfishness I'm going to get into of taking care of yourself, but you just have to believe in yourself, and you know, I guess it's hard to define how do you love yourself, and I'll have to work on that. Maybe a separate video that I think of, and truly, what does loving yourself mean? You know, I have some people in my life that I know do not love themselves, and their life sucks. And I'm gonna think about that and think about some videos, because I know some of them will tie to my psilocybin work and a lot of the gratitude that comes from that. Yeah, that's cool. That's gonna be fun to dive into a little bit more. But ultimately, what I mean by selfishness and what I was getting into on this last night is it was just grinding into me how important it is to be your best self. How strong mentally and physically can you make yourself? That's the key. The stronger we can be, the more we have to give, or the more, not that we have to as in must, the more that we have to give, the more that we have within us to be able to give to others. So let's look at my life. As I transitioned, not going back too far, but you know, as I transitioned out of the military and getting medically retired after a decade in special forces, I was fortunate that a very close friend of mine wanted to start a business with me. Now, Amanda and I already had the real estate investment company going on the side and working with that. But as you're transitioning, you lose a lot of sense of purpose. You know, and a lot of what we're doing as operators is so profound in what we're doing for others. You know, there's in that operation, there is a ego aspect because of the respect that we get from people for being elite, quote unquote elite. But ultimately, your drive is to do stuff for America. A lot of things that we do in foreign countries is for the local populace too. How can we help them while protecting America? You know, I don't want to say it in like a negative or overbearing aspect, but you have an aspect of hero complex, I suppose, that applies across the board. So as I got out, I got into Easy B&B. Built with a very close friend of mine, like a brother to me, this company, and everything about it is for others. It's for our clients, for our guests, We grew it to the point that we had like 6,000 bookings in a year. And it was killing me. It was ruining my life. I was a slave to my phone. Amanda would be trying to talk to me and I just wouldn't be paying attention. Like, I was lost. So I left that company. I'm gonna make some of these shorter. I'm gonna do longer videos about them, but for the essence of time and not having you go through 50 minutes again, I'm gonna do some kind of overarching points and we'll deep dive in shorter videos. But so I leave that. While I'm going through that, I'm just continuing to have hip issues from what medically retired me. I finally discover a torn labrum and I'm gonna get surgery. So I leave that. In January I have surgery. I'm like, all right, I'm done with that. I'm not going back to that. It's all gonna be, you know, how can I find good balance of self and others and be present with Amanda and healthy myself. So I get, you know, I'm gonna get surgery, I'm gonna rehab, and I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm gonna find something that's right. It did not go like that. As soon as I was able to, I started working again, and now I'm doing construction. You know, as I grew up being a builder, and I would do a lot of construction on our properties, or I would help people out, you know, if they needed it. And I just saw within Colorado Springs that people were just getting fucked by contractors. It's a super pain point for me when people take advantage of other people. So I developed kind of this Robin Hood model where I didn't advertise, but if you knew someone in your circle that was getting fucked by a contractor, or just struggling and needed help, get them in touch with me and I would help. The amount of people that were getting screwed was significant, and I did not have the ability to say no and protect myself. So I took on way too much work while also doing our own projects, and quickly got right back to the same place, if not worse than I was at Easy B&B, because now I was even more physically exhausted because I was doing a lot of the work. So that was not good, you know. So year, everything for others nearly kills me. Planning to heal, taking some steps physically to do that, immediately going back into doing for others, I lose it. Now at the same time, Amanda's doing this as for her clients. So we're very similar in that way, and just grinding ourselves into the ground 7 days a week, you know, 16-hour days. And it, for a while I even worked it to a badge of courage or a badge of pride, where I was like, I can fucking outwork anybody. I am successful because I have the ability to work this much. Oh, you're gonna go hang by the pool? I'm going to work. One day Amanda was like, babe, like, successful people don't work that much. What are we doing? But what really broke me, and as he just walks in right now, we came home, like Drover, we don't have kids. For those of you who know us know Drover, he's our child in every sense of the word. People shit on dog parents, that they're not real parents. And man, I can't fathom loving something more than I love that animal. That goes for, if my niece or nephew are watching, I love him more than you. But we weren't walking. We tell him in the morning we were gonna take him for a good walk, and we lived across the street. We bought a house and built a beautiful home across from Palmer Park, a 900-acre park for him. It was his favorite place. And we didn't take him for a walk. You know, and it just broke us one day. And I started, you know, fortunately I'm working with coaches at this point. And you all right, bud? And fortunately at this point, I'm going to him like I'm losing it, you know? So he really challenged me on what changes can we make? We went down that road, and we'll do another video on kind of that process of building the confidence to do that. But Amanda and I have had a saying, burn the boats, and we've done it multiple times, and this time we did it for real. So we sold our beautiful home and made a plan just to rehab a motorhome, a full-size 45-foot bus, and travel the country for a couple of years with Drovers, make our whole life about him and our time together, you know? not be distracted by all of these outward things within reason, again, find that balance. I'm going to do a video on my why. That is a great aspect of this. A lot of what I was doing is pulling me away from my why. I'm going to have to take some notes and make a plan for kind of the follow-on videos and how that'll flow, but that's going to be pretty cool too. So as I'm laying there, tripping balls, two aspects just keep coming in. My physical well-being and my mental well-being. And I'm going through, all the, just putting myself out for others, and it's just grinding in the sacrifices that I've made there, and kind of some of the pain points. And then it's layering it with the no excuses, ultimate accountability from the previous night. And it's like, you have no right to complain about being in physical pain all the time because your dumbass keeps causing that pain. You rehab just enough and then you go work out as hard as you can, or you start doing a construction project or just something else that then flares up the thing that you've been trying to heal. It's always, I just do the bare minimum so that I can get out and start doing other things again. And so at this point, it's grounded me that I don't have excuses. And what's super cool is, as I'm doing that, I just start to share me as the test case of what works. People are gonna have different ailments, but I've had so many injuries at this point. I probably have something along the lines of what a good majority of my circle or others have gone through. Stuff I'm doing with peptides and some healing aspects there. I'm committed physical therapy. I'm going every day currently as we rebuild kind of a foundation. So really working hard to put my money where my mouth is. And so I can feel better, but then also share a lot of that with people is going to be pretty cool. As I say that, it's funny, a lot of the selfishness and that I am interested in building. I think a lot of the physical aspect is true selfishness. I'm tired of being in pain. I am excited to share some of those things with other people, but if I really sit here as I talk through it, with you, it is fundamentally about me just wanting to not be in pain. The tie between mental well-being and physical well-being, especially for me, is so substantial. My physical well-being, being able to work out well without pain, is such a mental boost to me. And when I'm in pain, I'm not in a great mood, or I can, battle depression. This bug is killing me. Get out of here, bud. That's really where it touches on the mental well-being. As I look at my mental health, for me, it's really mental optimization because I'm in a pretty good spot. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to do about that bug, and I'm not really making another video. These are never going to be super professional, so just eliminate that expectation. I want to be, which ties back to why did I go do ayahuasca? I want to be the best husband, dog dad, friend, mentor, business person, entrepreneur, inspiration that I can possibly fucking be, and overall just enjoy life. I believe you get one go around. I don't know what happens to you when you die, and fundamentally I don't care. I'm not going to bank on anything. I'm going to live this one pretty solidly. And I need to be in a good mental state to do that. So as we tie back again, the same thing with the physicality aspect, what mental work that I can do can I then share with you and hopefully help and be a case study, and the feedback I'm getting and some of the messages on just this ayahuasca journey, and a lot of the stuff I do with psilocybin, it has been pretty substantial in some of the benefits I'm seeing in other people already. And goddamn, is that fucking rewarding. So a lot of good stuff to come there. And we'll do some deeper dive videos there. The way that I'm kind of structuring it was laying in as I'm laying there is figuring out where is that balance, because it can't just be complete selfishness. So there's a lot of things that tie through life and business of the 80-20 rule. What I'm going forward with, and I haven't quite ironed it out yet, but if I can 80% be for myself, and it's not doing selfishness aspects of like, I'm just gonna do the fun things, I'm not gonna spend 80% of my time just dicking around, and if I can spend 80% of the time working on myself, or a balance of fun things, improvement things, which I frankly find fun. Things, when I say myself, it also means Amanda and Drobrak. I find strength there. Then the 20% is for others. As opposed to the past couple of years where I give the opposite, or probably 95-5, where it's, or 5-95, 5% myself, 95 for others, and everyone gets a shit product. Or just less, substantially less than what I could. And I think a lot of people that I've given stuff to don't deserve it. As I look at hindsight, and I don't regret that, but I don't need to help everybody. I can't help everybody. That is an ego statement, even thinking I could. That's ridiculous. But if I can help just a couple people, which I believe I can, it's pretty powerful. You know, so if I have 80% of just building me as strong as I can, mentally, physically, everything, the 20% that I have to give is going to be so powerful to those people. And that's how I can change the world. I think if a lot of you did the same thing, I think that's how we change the world. And I'm pretty fucking excited about that. I know a lot of times when I'm excited, I'm usually a lot more like animated, but I don't know, there's just a lot of reflection going on as I'm talking right now, so I think it's maybe a little more subdued. I'll get some good animation for you and pumped, and we'll do some standing videos so I get excited about things. But you know what's cool is in the 80-20 aspect is, you know, it's 20 purposeful for other people, but what I wouldn't be surprised is that the 80% that I do for myself is people, I'm very open when I'm around people, and I have a lot of energy in that, and where it's not targeted to help them, but just as I talk about the things that I'm doing, or I just am stronger around people, like some of that just bleeds off. We had a meeting the other day with an Airbnb manager down here in McAllen. It ended up being like 45 minutes. He ended up just picking our brains on a lot of things. And even he was saying, he's like, there aren't people like you down here that are just that inspired to do things. And it's funny, that just popped into my head. And it's like, that's a great example where I had him here for me, you know, to help us. And 3/4 of that meeting ended up being giving him advice and talking about the business that he's starting in short-term rental management. And goddamn, that's cool. Like, again, that's how we fucking change the world. So I got a lot in this. This is gonna be a shorter video. A lot of this is gonna be individual videos, and I'm gonna kind of cut it here, and we'll the next video will be an overarching review of Soltara, because I need to do that for them anyway, or I want to. But an overarching channel going forward. And I am looking down at notes I have, I apologize, but I'm gonna deep dive topics as I integrate everything from the Ayahuasca retreat, let alone all the stuff that I've been doing for the past couple of years of self-work. Even through the bad times, I was always working really hard. I devour a ton of knowledge, and I implement it to the best of my ability. Stuff that I get with coaches. I'm gonna try to do videos and for people who may not be able to afford coaches or just aren't taking the leap. How can I take my voice and try to pass some of that on? And again, be this personal case study of my own real life. So you know that you can, it's not just some regurgitated bullshit. You know, it's me working as hard as I can on this real life thing. And so that's gonna be pretty cool. And then I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. It's gonna expand. If you've read the channel, there's a lot that I'm frustrated with, and that I think we can really make a difference if we just start to speak up a little bit. Even stuff like, you saw, if you guys have seen the breast cancer video, not breast cancer, that's another thing, birth control video that I made this morning. Like, we just need to start speaking up about some things. And I'm gonna start it where making this a priority. It's gonna be early in the day, and I'm gonna have it be pretty much coffee with Lindsay. I have my coffee, we're gonna talk about either things that tie directly to my journey or some view from the center as we start to stop the radical viewpoints the vocal minority drives so much of this country. You know, it's something I'm pretty passionate about now. I think that we are in trouble, and there's the majority isn't. We're just not saying anything. And I want to be a little bit of a spark and a voice in the ether of that. So I'm going to do that. And so the topic of the day will be something that's going on, or my own personal journey of something I'm working on. And I genuinely think that's how we change the world. And what's cool about it is for probably a year now, I've thought about writing a book based about how a cup of coffee can change the world. And it's funny as it's kind of morphed into, as I was writing this board an hour ago, leading it with change the world with a cup of coffee. And I was like, it's funny that that's the same concept of a book that I want to write. I really model my life around just being as good of a fucking person as I can be. I've been a horrible person for a lot of points in my life. I've been a really good person. You know, I've done a lot of good and a lot of bad. But the man that I have become is really good. And I'm very proud of that. And I work very hard on it. And I work very hard on continuing to improve. And I'm going to share that. So, hold on. Trover! Hey, bud. That's enough. That's enough. Trover, come on, bud. That's real life for you. If you work for UPS, don't ring the fucking doorbell, please. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought, so I'm going to cut it there. And I love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.